welcome back as we rejoin a very important conversation that we started last week, of course, with our tech expert relating to, and that's Grant Hines, around the mass concern expressed around WhatsApp's new privacy policy. It's created a storm, and although the privacy policy update has been postponed from February the 8th to now May the 15th, we still need to have this conversation. Nicoline Skuman-Low, the managing director of Skuman Law Incorporated, joins us to give us a legal perspective this morning. Nicoline, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, Nicoline, I've got to ask you first off the bat, this postponement, what exactly does it mean? And why is there even a new privacy policy by WhatsApp? So if you could first even explain that to us, for some of us that are clearly in the dark here.
Well, firstly, I think it's important for us to note that it is an indication, in my view, of the fact that there's a lot of debate going on, there's a lot of misinformation going on, and therefore the owners of WhatsApp have come to realize that users need more time, they perhaps need more clarity, and even more engagement is needed on the part of information regulators across the globe, including our own information regulators actually engaging with the Facebook group of companies as we speak to ensure that it is compliant with our local laws and regulations. So why do we need policies? Well, we need transparency. We need to know what is being collected from us, what is it being used for, and importantly, by whom.
I have a feeling that it's been a wake-up call. It's hit us so hard because we've now realized that so many of us have already been giving away critical information every time we sign onto any app, never mind Facebook or WhatsApp. Do we have, looking through a legal lens now, do we have a good reason to be concerned or as upset as we clearly are by the new policy? Can you explain the policy a little bit more? Just clarify exactly what it entails.
Well, the short answer to that question is yes and no. We have reason to be concerned and no. Firstly, I think it's a positive step in the right direction that we are seeing more transparency from these platforms and companies as to what they are collecting and what they are doing and what their business model truly entails. And then from an individual user perspective, it's up to you to decide whether this is acceptable to you. So in essence, we have to weigh convenience against privacy. So if you are going to take a very conservative approach regarding your data sharing and information sharing, be well advised that that would mean that your device would become, less user-friendly. There'll be a lesser degree of convenience, less integration, less cross-pollination. So it's a very important conversation for us to have in a broader context than just a messenger app.
All right. Maybe I'm going to just step in here and ask this question. What is the worst that can happen here? What is our data being used for? And should we be scared of it? Is it just purely being driven by advertising and designing and tailoring more advertising for us on Facebook? Why should we be scared of sharing this information?
Well, I think there's been a lot of debate around particularly social media platforms and to no exclusion of any of them in terms of the data that they are collecting, particularly user behavioral data. So it's not just a case of your name and phone number and your device. It's also a case of watching what engages you and ensuring that more of that is fed to your device. And that's a data collection motive across all these platforms. And I think the more awareness we are starting to have that we are actually the product that is being sold, because most of these companies' revenue model is based on their ability to reach people and to ensure or to give an assurance to marketers that if you use our platform, this is what we guarantee you will get as a return on your investment. And that is a very, very fine ethical line. So if we're talking about what specifically these policies entail, they are saying that they'll be collecting information such as your name, your phone number. Remember, when you download an app, it asks you for permissions to access certain components of your data on your device. For example, your GPS or location settings, your contact list, your photos. So these are all elements that are being collected, and whether or not they are being used perhaps in bad faith is something to be concerned about, because these policies give a framework of what we can do or what the company can do and not do, what it shares, how it shares it with third parties. Remember, Facebook as a member of the group of companies is not seen as a third party in this context. They are seen as part of the information sharing once this policy becomes binding on all of us. So it is definitely a consideration of being more vigilant and, of course, being more careful of what you are sharing with other users. It's a bigger conversation than just saying, what is the platform collecting from me? What are you sharing voluntarily with other users, which the platform says that they'll police and control. But we all know a breach is what triggers enforcement. So something bad, in simple terms, will need to happen before an action is taken if you have a breach of information that you possibly shared with another user. Now, message content is not being used by this platform. So your messages will remain encrypted end to end. But it's everything else. And I urge viewers to really have a look at this policy.
Wow.
I know it's an impossible question. Should we move or should we not move? I bet you're going to say the choice is up to us. But Nicoline, thank you so much. It's so good that we are casting a critical gaze onto this. And I think we need to be looking through that lens regardless with any app and what we are sharing.
Definitely. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
No, we truly do, G. I think the amount of information that we're giving out to the world, we started to need to become so much more responsible with it, eh?
Completely. I think fortunately you still have some time though before you are forced to choose between accepting and then getting this new policy update, or maybe venturing into new waters with alternative apps like Signal, which seems to be the most transparent, or Telegram. Let's move on to more positive and exciting news in the world of tech. This one is mind-blowing. Take a look.